Last week I was flattening a log round using my old 2 1/4 maybe horsepower router, and I worked on it for maybe a half hour the first night, and then the next morning when I went back to finish the slab, the router wouldn't start. And I gave it an old Fonzie tap, and surprisingly it started, but there were some sparks shooting out of the top, a little bit of a grinding sound on the inside, and I noticed some light coming out of here. So I turned it off. I figured the router was probably shot. I kind of just wanted a new router because this thing, when I think about it, this is probably about 20, maybe 25 years old. And it's still holding up pretty well. I don't use it a lot, but still, that's a long time. So I wanted a new router anyway because this one doesn't have variable speed. Apparently that wasn't really a popular thing back when I got this. So I went out and I used some good old Lowe's curbside pickup service and got me a new DeWalt 2 1/4 horsepower motor. This one is 12 amps, this one's 10 amps, so there's a little bit more power in this one. Ignore the horsepower rating, this kind of gives you a rough idea, but 10 amps up to 12 amps, a little bit more power, and it has dust collection and variable speed, which is a lot better for flattening log rounds or anything else for that matter. But to the point of this video, after I got back to the house with this one, I decided to take another look at this guy because it was still running, but it was just, like I said, shooting sparks out of the top. And I thought maybe it might have something to do with the brushes. So a lot of tools, most tools, in fact, I don't know if this one has it there. No, I guess not. I don't think this is a brushless motor, but I don't see a way to access the brushes. A lot of tools have carbon brushes on the inside, usually covered by a large screw like that. And these brushes provide a contact between the motor and the electrical connection, and that allows it to function. This is basically just, think of it like a wire connection. When that wire connection is broken, when those brushes wear down over time, or when something happens to the brush, the connection is severed, and then it's just like pulling the plug. So I took this thing apart, found out that one of the brushes was in fact bad, and we'll take a look at that one in just a second. And I was able to solder it back together and clean off some of the debris and get this thing working again. But I knew that in the long term, I was going to need to replace those brushes if I wanted to keep using this router. So I went on to e-replacement parts is where I found it. I've used that site before, had pretty good luck. Maybe about 4 or 5 times over the past 15 or 20 years. And I've never had any issue with anything I bought. So I got some brushes and some new brush caps because I broke one of the last ones tightening up the screw. And now we're just going to take a look at how to replace a motor brush. And we'll see, this was the one I fixed. One of them was just, it was so old that it was kind of corroded. They got this little piece sticking out here. Let me open one of these up so you can see a new brush. Alright, there's the new one. And it's just got the copper end, the copper wire going through the inside. The spring is what puts pressure between the carbon end and the motor, and that maintains the electrical connection while the motor's spinning. And then this one of these had some corrosion on the spring. Let's see if it'll come out. Great, it did come out. Now you see there wasn't really a lot of wear on the carbon part. This still had plenty of life left in it. In fact, there was very little wear at all. I'd say there was about maybe a 1/16 of an inch of wear between the old one and the new one. See, this one actually wasn't too bad. I think it was just that this spring didn't have any spring left in it. You can see that thing's just about shot. So I probably could have stretched out the spring on this one, put it all back together and kept using it, but instead I'm just gonna put this guy in because I got it. I'm gonna put this back in, right back in, oops, right side in, right back into that same hole there. And then get these guys down inside right inside the slot. And now the trick is getting the cap on without this thing popping back out. So this might not be the right thing. I got a painter's tool here, or a paint can opener. I'm going to try to stick the new cap back on. preparation. Try to stick the new cap back on before this guy pops out. So I'll just hold it in place and then slide this in there like that. Tighten up the screw without too much pressure, and we're done. That's it. Now I'll do the other side. All right, this one had a little more spring in it because I think this was the one that I fixed. Yeah, there we go. This one had, the wire had broken off and it had some debris. Might have been some sawdust or something. There was a little sawdust inside there, and I had some other debris on the inside, and it wasn't making full contact with the motor, and that's what was causing the sparking. So I took it out, and the copper wire broke when I removed it. So you can see I resoldered the wire, and this is actually in great shape. This thing would work just fine as is. In fact, I might keep this as a backup just in case, because compared to the new one, I don't see any major difference. And the solder that I put on there held just fine. So this one has a lot heavier solder actually than the. This is the original one. This is the one I got from E-Replacement Parts. Pretty heavy solder on there. I don't know if that's really going to make a difference. I mean, I don't think it would hurt. Just something that's different. So stick this guy back in there, and same drill as before. Just get it inside that hole, and grab a cap. Make sure everything's lined up. Almost. That one's just a little bit sticky. Okay, part of it's still outside. There we go. I didn't quite have that lined up with the slots. There we go. That one was a little bit tricky. And then grab the new cap. That's the new cap. Now there we go. Now, if that was all done correctly, that means that this router should now, I'm going to take that off just so it doesn't tighten itself while I'm, when the motor starts. That means that this router should now start up with no trouble at all. That worked out great. There is no more sparking from the top, and it sounds better than it did before. Got all the debris cleaned out of there, 2 new brushes. This thing is as good as new, and I'm expecting to get quite a few more years out of it. That's pretty awesome, because I got permission to buy the new one because the old one was broken. And now that I got this one fixed, I have two horsepower routers that I can play with. The 25-year-old one and the brand new one with the variable speed and dust collection. Pretty excited about this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. This one's going to be for a lot of the more heavy-duty work with jigs, and anywhere I need dust collection and variable speed, I'll figure out something for this. But either way, that's a win. About $35 for the parts, including shipping, to replace the brushes in this guy. Brushes and the caps, which were the cheaper part. So I hope that was helpful, and I'm pretty excited right now. I'm going to go play with some routers. And I hope you're having a great day as well. Thanks for watching.